Hello and welcome to Mirror Talk. We have moments where we just have to pause. Just pause and take a break and reflect on life. Remember, you are strong, you are enough, you are capable, you are blessed, and you are loved. Your moment of greatness starts now. So, today I have an amazing guest with me. His name is Adewale Adejumo, and he's a CEO, as a speaker. His work could be found, for example, on Zastra.com, where he runs an online retailing store, which is very big and fast growing in South Africa. He's an amazing speaker. He has his own podcast called Happy Like Buddha, which is available on all platforms. The real Wale Adejumo could be found on Instagram. He's an amazing person who has inspired me a lot. So how are you doing, Adewale Adejumo?
I'm great, man. I'm good. And how are you?
I'm good. Thank you so much. I'm so happy to have you here with me today. So I would love to, learn more about you. You have achieved a lot so far. I would love you to share your story with me. How has the journey of life been like for you?
Journey of life, Jesus. Well, back in 1985,
Yeah.
I was born.
Yeah, it's a good start, right? That's the beginning of everything.
Yeah, man. Journey of life has been one that has been very interesting for me, and one where up until I think towards the end of last year, I felt like my life had been I hadn't been in control of my life. Life has just been happening to me.
Yeah.
And, and I know that a lot of people actually live their lives like that as well. So for me, growing up, I was born in Nigeria. In 1997, when I was 12, actually on my birthday, we left Nigeria.
Wow.
And then and my family moved to South Africa.
Okay.
And since then, I just been growing up in South Africa, where I currently reside. I currently live in South Africa. And I went through life just, with my life pretty much being on autopilot, where, like you have these goals, but I never had this like clearly defined goals of where exactly I want my life to be or what my purpose was or what I wanted to do. Because growing up, I didn't know pretty much what was happening around me.
Everything was just arranged for you, or how was it like? Everything was laid out.
Everything was sort of like arranged. Like I only realized this year why I was a good student in school.
Wow.
And it was while I was meditating, back in primary school, I used to be like, top student and everything. I'm like, how did that even happen?
Yeah.
Then doing my meditation, I started having memories of my mother making us take extra classes. Like there was a tutor that would come to my house and teach my brother and I maths, English, all those things. And because I never remembered ever studying, but and I was like, how was I such a good student? And growing up, back in like high school, because there was no tutoring in high school, there was no tutoring in like varsity, I became more like an average C/B student. And I was like, what's going on? Am I getting dumber as I'm getting older?
Yeah.
Never realizing that, hey, you were actually being tutored. And that's why you were getting really, really good scores in school.
Yeah.
So my life pretty much, for me, was on autopilot. Okay. Back to, and then just fast forward towards the end of my varsity life.
Yeah.
I was a master's student. I was going to become a scientist. I actually have a master's degree in plant pathology and genetics.
Yeah.
Okay. And at that particular point, still didn't have a clear vision for my life. I was like, okay, cool. I started, selling some goods because I wanted to be successful. Here's the thing about me. Ever since I could remember, I wanted to be good, exceptionally good in anything that I was doing, but without a clear vision for where I want to end up on my contribution to the world.
Yeah.
So when I was an athlete, I trained super hard. I was really good, but I didn't have a clear vision of what I really wanted for myself. So I was not one of the best, but I was good enough to be at least number 2, number 3 in South Africa. within my age group. Okay, when when I started my life as an entrepreneur, I wanted to be really, 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 really big, but I didn't have a clear vision of my contribution and my service to others. Okay, and during my master's years, that's when I started embarking on my entrepreneurship journey. And wow, started that started growing, that started becoming big. But even when I was an entrepreneur, still am, I didn't have a clear vision for my life. I was living my life on autopilot. Basically, I was living life and I was asleep. Okay, I wasn't awake, I wasn't conscious, I was living unconsciously. All right. And with that sort of way of living life, I didn't have a clear vision for my life and where I want my life to actually go until towards the end of last year, when I went through my own personal transformation. And it was because I reached a point in my life where a lot of people call rock bottom. I mean, that was the rock bottom part of my life. My business was failing. My business had been failing for about 2 years. I was extremely stressed. I developed anxiety. I never knew what anxiety was growing up. I never knew what stress was growing up, because it was just me. I was feeling responsible for myself, for my life, and everything.
I felt nothing was working for you in some ways, and you felt stressed up.
Pretty much, nothing was working for me. My girlfriend at the time had left me in 2016. My business was failing. I had to retrench everyone, including myself, within the business. So I had to keep working in my business, although I wasn't making any money for almost 2 years. Okay, and trying to make money from other avenues. Some people would have just shut it down. I decided I did it because
you continued.
I had a mountain of. I continued because I had a mountain of debt, man. I never wanted to die, but I thought about my death a lot.
Wow.
And sometimes I would fantasize about there was a time I was actually on a plane going to give a talk, and I was thinking to myself, wouldn't it be nice if this plane just crashed? It would all be over.
Just to end life.
Just to end that depression, that stress, that anxiety that I was going through at that particular time. And man, and that was because I wasn't in control of. I wasn't fully aware that, one, I'm in control. And two, and one thing actually saved me. The second thing that saved me was stoicism, where it's when you imagine the worst possible scenario, and then you start seeing that the life that you actually have is actually not that bad. That the worst scenario that you always envision in yourself is that fear of failure, is that fear of what people will think, what the embarrassment and the humiliation that will come with oh wow,
you tried something and
you failed. You tried something, it didn't work, and you failed. So I started asking myself, what is the worst possible thing that could possibly happen? And I got to realize that the worst possible thing that would possibly happen isn't really that bad. I'm not gonna die with everything that was actually happening, with all the failures, and the failures were actually not really failures. They were just lessons that I needed to learn from. And one third thing that actually helped me a lot was when I was honest with myself as to why I was stressed. I had all these depression issues. I had these fantasies about just ending things. Okay, which also gives you a bit of perspective as well when you think about your death, because you also think about how do I want to be remembered if I die today? I'm like, oh shit. I don't want to be remembered for how I am now. I want to be remembered for how I remember one of my friends that passed away in 2017, where all I could think about was how it's just always so happy and smiling. And me, during that period, I was just like, I was like,
So moody, sad.
is emoting and sulky and depressed, and like holding on to the past a
Yeah.
lot, and what I ended up doing was start to gain clarity.
Okay.
So whenever I was having issues with, like, say, debt, I'll speak to a debt specialist. Whenever I was having issues with, like, lawyers, I'll speak to a lawyer. Especially whenever I was having tax issues, I'll speak to a tax specialist. Whenever I was having issues with this, so every single thing that was like just that I was worried about,
Yes.
I started getting clarity for it. And each time I got clarity,
Yes.
every single time I got clarity, I would feel so much better. It's like a weight had just been lifted off my shoulders, right?
Yes.
So then I went deeper. I'm like, oh wow. So all I really just need is to have clarity, and life will get better.
Yes.
So then I started taking up books, reading a lot more about entrepreneurship, because you know what? I've been an entrepreneur for, like, at that particular point when I started reading, for about 8 years.
Yeah.
But I never really picked up any books
To read about. You just move
to
with
read
the flow.
about, like, how
Quite.
to be.
Yeah.
I just went with the flow, bro.
Yeah.
I was just like making all these mistakes myself,
Yeah.
and learning from them.
Yes.
And then I picked up entrepreneurship books, E-Myth Revisited. I picked up books like Exponential Organizations, learn how to run an organization properly.
Yes.
Then I was like, oh, wow. Now I'm like, wow. And I thought I was great at content marketing, right?
Yeah.
Until I read a book on content marketing. I can't remember the name of the book, but it was on content marketing. And that just opened up my eyes. And I was like, whoa, what else don't I know?
Yeah, there's a lot one does not know, actually, right? Until you actually try to find out about
Exactly,
it.
bro.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, that's also where that saying, where a man who doesn't read is as good as a man who cannot read.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And then I went and dove even deeper. I'm like, you know what? You think you know sales? No, let me read up about sales.
Yeah.
You know, I learned about sales, and it just went on and on. You know, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Code of Extraordinary Mind. I'm like, wait a minute, I need to read up about, like, how to be rich.
Yeah.
And then I picked up The Richest Man in Babylon. Okay.
Yes.
And a recent one that I just finished is called The Latte Factor. That one's highly recommended for anyone who is in a job. If you're working like a 9 to 5, it's actually recommended for anyone, for almost everyone, but especially for people who are not in business. That book is nice tops book to actually pick up and read. So then I started to read, and the more I read, the more clarity I got.
Yeah.
And the more life started to make sense. And a lot of my thoughts and ideas, some of them started getting validated, and some of them started getting broken down, because I went from being born into a Christian family
Yes.
to then becoming born again. And then then I became like, no, this is all BS. Okay.
Yeah.
Then went into, like, what am I?
Yeah.
This was like in my early 20s. I was like, well, I guess I'm agnostic, because I'm using a scientific approach to
believe or religion.
to believe, which is like, I don't believe in anything unless it has been discovered. And then at some point in my dark years of 2017, 18, I went into, like, atheism. I'm like, I don't believe in God. And
Wow.
then that happened. That lasted about, like, 2 weeks, where I was like, that was way too dark. That was too dark.
Yeah.
Let's just go back to ignotus, and and now, following my transformation, my belief system has also been, like, massively transformed. I'm very highly spiritual. I believe that there is no real true religion, and I said true, but there is truth in every religion, because they all speak truth, and they all preach about the value system that I also put out there and I support, which is love, kindness, gratitude, tolerance, appreciation, setting, like,
Good
like
vibes,
having
or
a vision for your life.
vision,
Okay. and also following, action, and believing that your thoughts and your desires and your action will manifest and generate the life that you want for yourself.
Your thoughts and
Okay?
your imagination will
And
generate the life that you want for yourself.
your thoughts, exactly, and your emotions, right?
Yeah.
It has a way to actually program your body and in your mind.
Yes.
Okay, if you're always having positive thoughts and positive emotions about where you want your life to actually go,
Yes.
then when that situation actually arrives, you are more likely to be able to receive it than if you're always having some worries in your mind, but you want to achieve this,
Yeah.
but you think negatively all the time. You start to believe that you're not deserving of the life that you've envisioned for yourself,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And then when opportunity actually comes to you,
Yeah.
you won't, even though your mind is like, I deserve it, your body is a lot stronger. It will be a lot stronger than your mind, and you will not be able to fully accept or fully take advantage. You would actually find a way to self-sabotage yourself,
Yeah.
which is what happens with a lot of people, where they sabotage themselves. And I've done it, sabotage myself so many times, when all I had to do was just take this one leap, okay? Because I was always worrying, like my mind just wasn't right,
Yeah.
okay?
Yeah.
Pretty much every religion talks about those principles, and also not to forget energy. Energy, whatever you want to call it, whatever religion you are,
Yeah.
if you want to call it God, you want to call it energy, you want to call it spirits, you want to call it vibe, you want to call it whatever. Energy is really, really important, and and I believe that we actually get closer to God, closer to that like energy, that vibe, that spirit, based on how we live our life, based on those principles, which is what you find across pretty much all the religions. Okay.
Yes.
So I am deeply spiritual.
Yeah.
But I'm not. I'm not like going to say this one above that or this above that, because the principles are pretty much the same across all the religions, and doesn't matter which one you are, miracles still happen across board.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
I believe in people. Okay.
Yes.
Not one particular culture or one particular idea.
Yeah.
I believe across board in all of them.
Generally.
Yeah.
Yes. You made mention of something that I would love to ask or talk about a little bit. You said your darkest moments in life, woke you up, took you out of that autopilot state of your life, and that made you like search for clarity, search for start reading books, to improve your life. What else how did this wake you up? How else did it wake you up? How else did the darkest moment in your life or the rock bottom of your life wake you up? Apart from what was that moment in your life that you said, oh, I think I've been on autopilot all my life long?
See, it was me willing to try anything different to what I was currently doing, because I wanted to change my life so badly. Okay. I also wanted to make sure that this is not how I wanted to be remembered. If I had to die tomorrow, if I had to die in a couple of months' time. But the main thing was because what I was doing wasn't helping me, wasn't changing things in my life.
Yes.
I started to now, I'm like, no, it's only a foolish man will keep doing the same thing and wanting a different result, right?
Yeah, that's true.
So you gotta like try something different, So 2018, 7th of Jan, I stopped drinking completely. That helped me with actually moving away from certain types of people.
Yes.
Because, when you realize that, okay, when the minute you take out something like alcohol, you find out that, oh, wow, some people were only my friends because we went and drank together. There was really no value that they were really just adding to my life.
Yes.
They wasn't contributing to like my long-term vision and my long-term goals. Okay. And then the drinking ended the wasting of money, going out, partying, and you now see that you have a lot more time, you have a lot more clarity on your Saturday mornings and your Sunday mornings.
Yes.
You have all this time, and then you start realizing that, oh wow, so what do people do? Oh, spend time with family.
Of course. Yeah. Yeah.
Spend time with family. Then I started, bonding a lot with like family, my nieces, my nephews. That was just one of the side effects of just taking out alcohol. There are so many other things that I can't mention because
Okay.
this is like a PG rated
Okay.
podcast.
Yeah. Maybe you talk to me about it a little after the
All
podcast.
right. Okay. And I was willing to try things like meditation. I tried that. I failed at it. But then I ended up finding a better way to meditate, which wasn't just about clearing the mind. I found a way to meditate for the 21st century through using emotions, all right, and using visual. So during my meditation, during my meditation, you know how in order for you to train your subconscious mind, you are meant to combine. Like I was just mentioning earlier, right? A lot of people worry a lot, and that's emotions. You combine emotion with the vision of your future that you want for yourself, and when you combine your emotions with the vision you have for yourself, you start to believe. Your subconscious starts to believe that negative emotion that you're feeling. So during meditation, what you want to do is you want to combine emotions, the positive ones, with the vision that you have for yourself. You want to combine the positive emotions you feel when you have a connection with your family. You want to combine the positive emotions you felt when you first received something, like when you first bought your headset, that beautiful night headset, when you first unwrapped it.
Yes.
How did you feel? You felt that joyful emotion. That's like your gamma brainwave spiking at a particular point.
Yeah.
So you want to meditate on that and be grateful for that headset you have, so that you don't get too used to it and then you stop appreciating it. Okay.
Yes.
You want to get, so it's about combining the emotions you feel, and combining that with things like kindness, love, connection with people in your life, connection with just every single person, gratitude for the things that you have, in the possessions that you own, and also also making yourself feel situations, and it's just a way of train. Like the mindset, a person's mindset,
Yes.
okay, can be worked out like a muscle, and the way your mindset can be worked out like a muscle is through meditation. People do it through meditation. People do it through affirmations. People do it through prayer as well. Okay.
Yes.
And that's how you work out your mindset. Your mindset, like the same way you work out your muscle, and that's your mental workout. Affirmations, meditations, and prayer. Yeah. So that's essentially what meditation does for me. But at the same time, it allows you to go deep within yourself, because I truly believe that when you're born, society starts to pile on all these things onto you, and the real you just keeps growing up and just keeps putting on all these different masks. And then you get into your 20s, and then you don't know what the hell is going on. You're lost.
Yes.
You're trying to find yourself. And meditation also just helps you to start to slowly or quickly, depending on who you are, to peel away those different layers and get to connect with your real self, and get to truly discover, and one way for you to discover is also by exploring as well. So a lot of people want to transform the way they want to change, but they don't want to leave behind the life and the things that they exactly. You need to learn to unlearn what you already know. Okay.
Yes.
For you to be able to for you to be able to properly transform and to truly be you, the you that you want to be remembered for, not the you that society has. Because society puts pretty much everyone in this box. Okay. in order for you to transform and to actually really discover and find the real you under all those layers of mask,
Yeah.
you have to be willing to embark on a journey of discovery and exploration.
Yes.
But obviously still operating within those value pillars of love, kindness,
Gratitude.
forgiveness, gratitude, having a vision for your life, and also just like, asking God for like strength, believing in yourself. Yeah.
Yes. Wow. I'll pick up from where you stopped now. You talked about, having vision for your life. So what does having vision or having a purpose for your life mean to you? What does that mean to you? What like to a layman, what should I understand as having a vision for my life? What should I understand under like having a purpose for my life? What does that mean to you?
So having a vision and having a purpose for your life, for me, it's my contribution and my service to mankind, to people. I would probably describe that as like my why, and why I do a lot of things that I do. It's to contribute, and it's to make other people's lives better, and to create leaders who are going to go out there and also contribute and live a life of service to serve other human beings.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
So having a purpose for your life should always be tied to your contribution to others, to your contribution to others, other than yourself. Okay? And it should be something that you can do, that you can do with your hands. Okay? Your purpose should be tied to you and your contribution. It shouldn't be tied to someone else. And what I mean by that is, because some people tie their purposes to their partners, their spouses, their
family,
the company they work for, and then they get fired, and guess what? They tie the purpose.
No more purpose for their life.
It's a purpose to how much money they are making. If you try to purpose to say your girlfriend, for example, you're living your life purpose is to build a big, nice house provide for your woman and your family. Say you don't have a family yet, okay? Yes. I mean, in terms of like having your own kids, and it's for your girlfriend, and then your girlfriend leaves you, for example. What happens to that purpose of yours?
Instead, that's true. Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. So your purpose must always be tied. Your why should be tied to your contribution to humanity, and that is the best why, and that's the best type of ways to actually set your purpose. Okay. So for me, that is what purpose means. That's what setting your purpose means for me. The more people you're able to service, okay, with your purpose, there's the general law of stratospheric success, which is like massive success, where the more people you service, the more returns you're actually going to have. Coming back to you. Okay. So your purpose should be focused on your service to people. Okay. Which if you're going to serve people, you need to care. Okay. One of the best marketing strategies is caring, being kind. If you want to have influence over people, you need to be loving. Okay, you need to be loving. You need to be vulnerable. Okay, that's how you're gonna gain people's loyalty. You can try and use fear. You're probably gonna get rich if you use fear, but people are not gonna be loyal to you. Okay, when things go bad, people are not gonna stick by you. When you need their help, people are not gonna help you. So when your purpose is tied to your service to people, and tied to love and kindness, the return to you is how a lot of really successful people amass the massive success that they actually have.
Wow, that's good. That's really good. Thank you so much for that. I really appreciate that. I read online that you wanted to be a director of a science institute, but then I also read about your sport activity. You won like lots of like medals, as you mentioned earlier already, and now you're an entrepreneur. Can you tell me about that a little bit? Like, what was your purpose at each stage of of your life? Like, finishing your master's in plant pathology and envisioning yourself to be a science, to be a director in a science institute, then also being an athlete and winning accolades to your name, and also now being a very successful entrepreneur, having companies of your own. What has been your purpose over the time? Has it changed over time, or it's still the same purpose all through from the beginning?
My purpose has completely changed, and the massive change happened towards the end of 2019. Okay.
Yeah.
Throughout my life, my purpose was always tied to other things other than myself. I tie my purpose and my self-worth to, say, for example, the medals, the athletics, the accolades. I tie my purpose to my degrees and stuff like that, and I'll tie my purpose to the awards that came from winning, the awards that came from being an entrepreneur. And tie my purpose to my partner. Okay.
Yes.
That was just the wrong way of living life. Like I said, I was not living consciously. My purpose wasn't always about like contributing to others. I didn't have clarity on love and fear because I didn't know that. Listen, you can't have love and fear working for you. No. You got to choose one.
The opposites. Yeah, the opposites.
You got to choose one.
Yeah.
Exactly. You got to choose one. And the minute you use fear, then you lose any credibility that you that you had or have with love. But I gave you guys love 95% of the time. I use fear once.
Yeah, but that fear destroys everything. Yeah,
that fear destroys everything, right? Okay. So for me, my purpose has definitely evolved, and now I feel like I'm living a much more purposeful life. Purpose and your passion, it doesn't always pay you in terms of money when you first start doing it, but it's more of a long-term thing. It's not a short-term thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
So so that's why it's important to have a long-term vision for your life, and which is going to be like an end goal instead of a means goal. Means goal, I can make money. That's a means to an end.
Yes.
My end goal is my contribution to others, where I will always be contributing to others.
Yeah.
So because of that, it's all like I'm always going to be going through different. I will always be going through different steps in my evolution and always be improving myself until the day I die. Because if my purpose is to serve,
of course,
then I will keep serving till I die, and I'll just keep improving and getting better and better and better and better and better.
Yes.
So yeah.
Yeah, and how did you find your purpose at the end of 2019? How did you sit down? Did you sit yourself down and say, okay, I have to analyze my life and think about it, or learn everything that I've learned before? For example, before trying to like find out what my purpose in life is, or what made you find your purpose, or how do you find your purpose?
Purpose is, how can I make people's lives better? That is within the realm of my control. That's within what I can do without other people being involved. How can I do that?
Yes.
Okay. How can I create something where, because I see myself as a creator, we're all creators. How can I create something that, because the only thing I can truly have control over, and I'm not a control freak. Okay. Before anyone assumes I am. But what is it that I can think, I have a deep desire for, and I can take action, and the action is only relies on me, that I can do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
And that's how I came around to really defining what my purpose is, which is like, oh wow, I want to make people's lives better. And this is something that I can actually do without like going, hey man, you want to start a new venture? Hey, you want to start, and then you trying to start something with other people.
Yeah.
And that's not their vision for their life. That's not their purpose. That's not whatever. what can I do?
Yes.
What can I start?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So then it's like, it's simple. You can make people's lives better. What is your unique? What is that thing that's unique to you that you can give to the world? I'm like, then that's my one unique thing about every single person is their story.
Yeah.
Your experience.
Yes.
Okay. And if you can use that to create something to make people's lives better, then for me, that was how I basically formulated, like, wow, this is something I actually do. Everyone should be passionate about themselves, about their own lives, about their own story, and that's one thing I feel passionate about, being able to cool, all these things, all these books, all this knowledge that I have, how can I help to use that to make other people's lives better? So that's how me formulating my purpose started. And purpose can still sort of your purpose won't change, but it evolves and it gets better and better and better as it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, and the more people's lives you actually touch.
Nice, great. So I would love to talk about your podcast now, because that's one of your purpose, to improve people's life, to make people happy, and to make people see life in a different way, different color, from a different side, a positive side. So can you tell me about happy like Buddha? Why Buddha? Why should I be happy like Buddha?
Happy like Buddha, it's a metaphor for first of all, it's not about Buddhism. Okay, it's a metaphor for you to live your life the best way possible, to live your life free from society's box that society puts you in, culture, tradition, all of those things, and just find your own way to live in your life to the best possible way that you can. And Happy Like Buddha podcast, it's about bringing the top transformation coaches, personal coaches, life coaches, entrepreneurs, athletes, for them to come and share their thoughts and their wisdom with people, thoughts and wisdom that you normally wouldn't hear in school, that you wouldn't learn in varsity. For them to come and share those thoughts and teach people how they can also live their lives to their full potential, and live a life, live a life of purpose, and that's true to themselves, and for them to be able to actually discover their real selves. That's what I feel like Buddha is pretty much about.
And as in, I listened to the previous episode with a lady from South Africa. We talked about self-confidence, and I was really blessed by it. And I'm hoping to listen to more episodes that come up, and be happy also, and improve my life in a lot of ways, as much as possible. Actually, thank you so much for what you are doing on with the podcast. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, man. Thank you, man. Thank you.
You said you have this purpose, and sometimes it's cool, lead you into different ventures in life. For example, you're an entrepreneur, you're a CEO, you're a founder of Zatra.com, where this online retail store, which is fast growing in South Africa. You are the co-founder of dropstoreapp, and you do a lot of things. So how do you manage all of these things together? How do you manage your entrepreneurship, your business properly, and your podcast, and you're a speaker, you do TEDx also, and all that things. How do you manage all of these areas of your life, with your personal life again also to it?
Well, firstly, it's not just me. It's me and a team of people.
Okay.
So having a team of people definitely helps me to be able to do a lot of things that I do. Okay. And for me, secondly, I have the same hours in a day as most people. And one thing that I've done to be able to do all the things that I do is to move my days around, or move my hours of my days around, where I wake up every single day at 4 a.m. That's Monday to Friday. And then on Saturdays, I usually plan to sleep whenever I want to sleep on Fridays, and wake up whatever time I want to wake up whenever I want to wake up on Saturdays. But Fridays, I'm just so tired. I end up sleeping at 8. Normally I sleep at 9:30. And then I wake up at 3 a.m. on Saturdays, which is really
quite early, right?
I wake up even earlier on weekends. And for me, when I usually spend the reason why I wake up early like that is to spend the first few hours of my day with myself, because I always ask people, when do you spend time on yourself? You know, when do you spend time with yourself? You know, like, oh no, I hang out, I spend time on myself, after work. I'm like, so when you were tired, right? After 5 o'clock, you're tired, you're exhausted. That's time you give to yourself. Okay, so don't you think it's, the whole concept of putting yourself first? Wouldn't you want to give yourself the best few hours of your day, like the best hours of your day when you are fresh, when your mind is clear, when you have clarity? So for me, that's why I wake up early at 4, so that I can give myself those clear hours of my day when I'm fresh. So I wake up, do what Stammer Wundler said in that podcast that you just mentioned about self-confidence.
Yes.
I make my bed.
Yeah.
I meditate for about 30 minutes. Then I just do my exercises, calisthenics, yoga, I run. And also on alternative days, I'm listening to podcasts. I'm listening to audiobooks. I'm learning. I'm reading. Yeah. And then 7, 8 o'clock comes, and then the crunch with the work starts. So I've given myself like 3 hours of the day. Like a lot of people, those 3 or 4 hours is spent, waking up, rushing, sitting in traffic. Yes. Thank God I don't have to sit in traffic. I work from home. Getting to work. The first hours of the day starts off being really hectic, and then how do you expect the rest of the day to go? Day's just not gonna go that well. Yes. So my day starts off really calm and chilled and just empowering for me personally. Then when my day starts, I'm just in a great mood, man. I'm able to get things done a lot quicker. I'm able to learn quicker. I'm able to think clearer because I'm calm. I don't have any worries. I don't have any anxiety about how how I'm feeling and about how my day is gonna go. By midday, I've given in a day, you really have about 5 really productive hours. So from 7 to about 12 or 1 o'clock, I'm super productive, Yes. And after that, I get to have time now to do other things. Maybe listen to another book, maybe work on my podcast, yes. edit some content, create, write. By 5 p.m., I've been awake for 13 hours already.
Wow.
Usually if you wake up at 7, that's 8 p.m. for you.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
All right. So for me, 5 p.m. is like my 8 p.m. So when people want to have a meeting at 6 p.m. for me, I'm like, guys, no, I'm not going to have a meeting with you at 6 p.m. 6 p.m. is like me calling you for a meeting at 9 p.m.
Yeah, you'll be productive. Yeah.
Yeah, So some people want to have a meeting at 8. I'm like, that's midnight for me. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
But okay.
Yeah.
Now I'm going to, now 8 o'clock, I'm winding down, I'm responding to people on social media. And by 9, I'm just off social, off internet, and I'm calming down and I'm resting. Okay. Or from 7 to about 9, I'm socializing now. Now I'm like, hey, listen, I can give time to people now, on social, because you're still in that social connection.
Yes.
But so for me, to be able to do all the things that I do, it's just about restructuring, and it's just tiny little adjustments that helps me to be able to do a lot of things that I do, and I'm not stressed about it. I don't feel overwhelmed because I've just structured my day properly. Because I went through this. I was actually driving in 2019. I think it was around September, end of September. I was coming back from my mother's retirement party, and just I just had epiphany, where I was like, wow, why wouldn't you? Why do you wake up at 7, work all around the clock, and you're not really getting much done? You're not as productive as you want to be. And then you get to around 6, 7, 8 p.m., and then you're up. You're not really doing much. You're not really doing anything that productive anymore. Till about 11, midnight. So I'm like, how much hours of my day am I wasting? I'm wasting like 6 hours,
Yes.
like 5 to 6 hours of my day, wasting it. Like, like, and then I started to see where all the wastage was happening.
Yeah.
By first evaluating how I spend my time. So then I was like, wow, those wasteful time, I need to move that into into a part of like my day where it's a lot more useful, where I'm not stressed, I don't feel overwhelmed. And that's just been pretty much what I've done. And that's how I'm able to like to do quite a lot of things that I'm currently doing. And I have time because we all have the same amount of hours in our day.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
And I can still read 2 books a week, interview people on podcasts, update social media, like people's pictures,
Yeah.
run businesses,
Yes.
answer a ton of emails, sit and have meetings, have a balanced life with my family. Only thing I probably don't have is a girlfriend. So, okay.
Yeah.
And that's not also, I don't want to, because look, we living under different circumstances.
Yes.
Some people have spouses, they have kids. And for me, I just also, so we cannot discount those things, right? Okay.
Of course.
And I think one thing that makes me feel fortunate is the fact that I have a lot of those time just to myself. Okay.
Yes. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. No. No kids. No kids.
Okay. Why are you thinking about it for a minute? Like, oh, do I have any kid anywhere?
No, not even,
Yeah.
not even, bro, not even, no kids anywhere.
Are you
Definitely
sure?
no
Are you
kids
sure?
anywhere. I'm 100% sure about that.
Okay.
Yeah, man. So that's how. Just management of my day,
Yes.
management of my time, and everyone can find a way in their own different situation, a way for them to manage their days and their time productively.
Yes.
Yeah.
You made a valid point already. Like, for you to be able to combine everything together or do everything that you love to do, you have to have these time management skills, and that's one thing I'm also trying to work on. I'm trying to improve my time management skills, how to effectively make use of my time, make use of the 24 hours I have every day, to get the best out of it every time, every day. Yeah, I like that. I think I'll still come back to you and ask you about your, you made mention of it already. Actually, you said waking up and on time, early in the morning, spending time with yourself. Then you start your work, in a very calm and very relaxed mode, and you are very effective that way. Then you get much done within the early hours of the day, and you develop yourself personally. Then during the hours, from 7 or from 8 o'clock, you develop yourself with your business, for example, financially, in other ways. Then in the evening, you develop yourself socially also by being on social media.
Exactly.
Yes.
And I just want to add, like, the secret there to waking up early is going to bed early and having enough self-discipline to go, this is the time I'm going to go to bed, and just stick with that.
Yeah.
Even if you're not tired, lie in bed, put your hand over your chest, put your hand over your stomach, and meditate to sleep. So just having discipline.
Wow. And do you have any aids you make use of to sleep, for example, apart from meditating? Because I have friends that talk to me about them lying in bed, for example, and staying awake, having different thoughts in their mind. They're trying to think or meditate, for example, but they get distracted from the meditation because circumstances of life come into play while they're in bed, and all the monsters come out from the bed and try to attack them, and they stay awake till midnight or early hours of the morning, and they get no sleep. Actually, do you have tips you make use of to, apart from meditating, to sleep?
So when I first started, I would play a deep sleep hypnosis tape, which will help me actually guide me into a meditative hypnosis sleep-like state.
Yeah.
And it also had a lot of affirmations as well in the actual deep sleep hypnosis tape. So that it really, really helped me in the beginning when I started I'm gonna get into bed at 8 at 9 p.m.
Yes.
Vibe, when I was a 12 a.m., 1 a.m., 2 a.m., 3 a.m. guy and was on like, no, that's just not who I am. This is just who I am. A lot of people, say that bullshit.
Yeah.
That this is who I am.
Yes.
If you say this is who you are, that is who you are going to be. Okay.
Yes.
It's unless you now start to look for better ways to do things that the change actually starts to happen. Transformation starts to happen. So yeah, that's just pretty much like my feedback on that.
Yes.
I use an app called Scribed, and there's a particular tape that I used to play, and every once in a while I do play it for just get those affirmations going. But now I just fall asleep within like seconds, so I'm not even sure whether I'm still listening to it or not.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yes.
But before, I used to like go like in at least 10 minutes into it and then like meditate off to sleep. Now it's like I just put my hand up on my chest like that. I start playing the tape, and as soon as clear your mind, like they tell you that you need to. Basically, your worries are not gonna be solved if you carry them with you into your sleep.
Yeah.
There's nothing you can pretty much do.
Yes.
The minute I just hear that, I'm just gone. The remaining 29 minutes of it, I'm not sure
if you are still
what
there.
happens. Yeah. If I'm still there or not. Yeah.
Wow, nice. That's great. So in the morning, when you wake up, for example, and you're maybe brushing your teeth or maybe freshening up, for example, do you stare, because the name of this podcast is Mirror Talk, do you stare into the mirror and like reflect on life a little bit, or do you spend other times reflecting on life, on your journey of life so far?
While I'm meditating, right?
Yes.
I get like memories of maybe periods of my life that I don't know what was happening. Like I gain a lot of clarity into my childhood.
You made mention of that earlier.
I was able to I was able to like unpack a lot of things that happened to me growing up. And for me, in my meditation, I'm also meditating and visualizing the future of myself 3 years from now, 5 years from now. So, and I do tell myself in a part of my meditation where I am giving gratitude for the things I have in my life. There's like towards the end of my gratitude phase of my meditation, I visualize myself appreciating myself. So that's when I see that image of a mirror.
Yeah.
and then I actually say it out to myself. I look at myself.
Yes.
And then I say, I love you.
You tell yourself, Adewale Adejumo, I love you.
I love you. And then I smile in my meditation, and then I move on to the next phase.
That's so beautiful.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Nice. So is that, I mean, that's so amazing. Like, not using a physical mirror, but having this mental mirror in your mind, and you talk to yourself and say beautiful things to yourself. Motivating yourself personally to become a better person, to appreciate yourself as an individual, recognizing yourself as an entity. Yes. That's beautiful.
And a lot of people wait for people to tell them they love them. I mean, like, I would have this discussion sometimes with a lot of Black people actually, and people of color, where they say, "Oh, my parents never told me they loved me," all those things. Do you tell yourself you love yourself? Like,
yeah.
How many times have you said "I love you" to yourself? Like, is it something you tell yourself every single day? Start loving yourself, man. Don't wait for our parents, your partner, or all those people to tell you they love you. They do love you, but maybe that's just not the culture that they grew up in.
Yes.
Tell me something, right? I heard this and I'm thinking maybe it was BS. Is there a word for love in Yoruba?
Ife?
Yeah. Okay, yeah.
Ife is love.
Do people actually say that? Monifere.
Monifere.
I love you, by the way.
Yes, Monifere.
No, it doesn't sound like doesn't sound normal. Does it sound normal to you?
No.
Has anyone ever said that to you? Like meaningfully?
Thinking about
jokingly?
It, I think it's mostly jokingly, or maybe between partners, for example, like in a relationship or something. But it's very rare. Actually, it's very rare. No one has ever told me that before. Actually, yeah. That's true.
Exactly. See, that's culture that we grew up in. We
Yeah.
grew up in that culture where that is just not something that people said in our language. It's only with the English, with the English that we speak,
Yeah.
that we now say "I love you." So they were like expecting and demanding and holding a grudge to your parents or whatever for them not saying "I love you" to you when it wasn't their culture, right?
Oh, man.
No word for it,
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you just gotta love yourself. You gotta tell yourself. If you want to hear people tell you they love you, say it to yourself.
Yeah.
And that's what I do. Yeah.
That's good. That's. I mean, I'm going to start cultivating that habit also. I'm going to cultivate that habit of loving myself, telling myself I love you, and then also showing it out onto other people. Like tell them, oh, I love you so much, and really express my feelings, my feelings to people. That's one thing I also have to work on actually. Yeah. Yeah. That's.
Yeah, man. I actually say it now to my mate. I say it to my business partner. I say it to some of the people that I feel might not take it the wrong way.
Yeah.
Yes. Or you just put like "man" at the end. I love you, man.
I love you, bro.
I love you, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yes.
And I'm trying to just normalize just letting people know that you love them and you appreciate having them in your life. I try and normalize that in my life every single day.
Oh, that's amazing.
Sometimes I get a F you.
Really?
Oh.
Okay. It's like keep your love to yourself.
And then
keep your love to yourself. Thank you.
And then I get like a I love you too, Brian.
Yeah, that's
because I'm like, oh yeah, so you're not used to that, hey? You're not used to being loved, you just get used to it. Normalize that stuff, man.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Wow, it has been so lovely speaking with you. I'm really enjoying this conversation, but I would love you to maybe talk to me about any other thing you would love to talk about that I've not made mention of. Maybe talk to me a little bit about Zastra.com or dropstoreapp or every other adventure or project that you're working on that we could be a part of.
Okay, so the one thing that I really just want to talk about is one, I'm writing a book.
Oh.
And the book is called Happy Like Buddha.
Yeah.
The book was actually formulated way months before the podcast idea came to mind. Okay. And so the book is about the foundations of happiness, the steps that people need to follow, which is one, taking responsibility for your life.
Yes.
Learning to unlearn a lot of things that you have learned, your mask, and starting to learn, from almost from scratch. This is how we should have been raised, we should have just been raised with love, with forgiveness, with learning to let go of things that you can't control.
Yes.
Learning what it is that you can truly control, which is your thoughts, your desires, and your action, and how to really just be able to build the life that you want for yourself. Okay. So the book covers all of those things, Yes. So that's really just one thing that I'm currently working on. And before the book comes out, which is going to come out in 2021.
2021.
Okay. I will be sharing a lot of my knowledge. I'm going to be bringing on experts to come and share a lot of their knowledge and a lot of their thoughts and ideas. And you find that a lot of things that you probably get in the book, you will get it on my social media pages, on Instagram, Twitter. You find it on my podcast. You find it on my YouTube page. Okay, YouTube page is Adewale Adejumo, by the way, and you find all those. You'll find a lot of those information. But in the book, we go nice and deep. So that's something that I feel is really worth talking about. Something that's really worth mentioning. Something that's going to add a lot of value to a lot of people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Maybe we can talk about that when it comes out in 2021 by God's grace. Then maybe we could come back. I could invite you again and we could talk about the book and share more. You could talk about it a little bit, share more knowledge about it, and bless me a little bit with more of your knowledge and wisdom.
Yes, absolutely. I would love that, Brian.
But I'm going to share all your details in the show notes for this episode. I mean, the link to your YouTube, link to your Instagram, link to your Facebook page, link to your podcast, also very, very important, and link to your online retail store, zatra.com, and every other information from you that you would love me to share with the world or with the audience. I'll put everything in the show notes. Then people can always visit you and check out and be motivated by you actually, and be inspired by everything that you do and become better and improve their lives also by following your project and following your work. That's great.
Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate that.
Yes, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate this, and I don't take too much of your time again because I've learned so much from you today already, and I'm going to take this and go and eat it up, digest it, and make it give nutrients to my life or give nutrients to my mind, my soul, my body, and become a better person from this episode. Thank you so much for that.
Thank you, man. I appreciate all of this as well, and I hope you keep well and stay safe. And yeah, man, stay in touch.
Thank you so much for listening to this podcast. I am eternally grateful for your time, your love, and contributions. You mean a lot to me. Thank you once again for listening and sharing with your loved ones. Don't forget to subscribe and follow this journey on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and other platforms in the description. Stay blessed.